meeting of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission is here being conducted entirely via Zoom is hereby called to order. Protocol for today's meeting was previously reviewed by Corporation Counsel, who indicated to me it is compliant with the executive orders issued by the governor, in fear for those watching from a remote location. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'll start off with a roll call vote of the commission. Please verbally indicate that you are present when your name is called. Commissioner Kelly?
Present. Commissioner
Parkins?
Present.
Commissioner Motto?
Here.
Commissioner Ticky?
Present.
Commissioner Radomski? Okay, myself, Commissioner Harger. Alternate Commissioner Laskos?
Present.
Mr. Rossetti, our administrator?
Present.
Mr. O'Neill, our assistant administrator and CEO?
Actually, Madam Chair, I think Mr. Wadomski is here and Mr. O'Neill will not be attending as of right now.
Okay, very good. And Mr. Panico?
Here.
Ms. Renassos, our recording secretary?
Present.
Okay, and Commissioner Radomski, are you here?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much. For the record, alternate Commissioner Usal is unavailable for today's meeting. And we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regular commissioners in today, right now. A couple of points before continuing with today's agenda. This is the commission's 48th meeting being done via a live streaming process. Mr. Rossetti will act as the Zoom meeting host, while commissioners will be able to make comments throughout the meeting. The chair asks that you please identify yourself and wait to be recognized by the chair before speaking to make sure we're not all speaking over each other, to make sure our recording secretary is clear as to who is speaking. 6 applications for a certificate of zoning compliance for signs are on the agenda. Commissioner Motto, did the zoning subcommittee meet to discuss these?
No, we looked at them a little bit online. We weren't able, it came up very suddenly, apparently, these sign applications in a great big bunch. So we really weren't able to pull that off.
Very good. Okay, well, let's get started. The first is application 5177.
Madam Chair, can I just say one quick thing?
Sure.
For all the attendees that are waiting for your items to come up, I see that we have a bunch of people listed. Right now, you're listed as an attendee in the meeting. When your application comes up, you'll be allowed to be a panelist. You'll be able to start your video and speak to the commission. Just until then, if you could just please bear with us and let the other applicants speak to the commission. It just kind of helps keep the video quality high and any distractions down by keeping everyone else on mute. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so this is application 5177, Michaela Kranick, Butterfly and Sage, 320 Howe Avenue for a sign. Is the applicant here to present the application?
He is.
Okay, and so would you identify yourself for the record? If your name is long, I would ask that you spell it for our recording secretary. And you have the floor. Larry, if that's you're on mute.
It's both Larry and Michaela. Just give him 1 second.
Sure.
Hi, this is Larry Bork with ABC Sign Corporation.
Good evening, Larry. Go ahead.
Yeah, beg your pardon, I'm having trouble with my webcam, but at least I can see you guys.
Very good.
I understand Michaela's going to be presenting for Butterfly and Sage, and I'll be here just to support her if she would prefer.
Okay. Mr. Rossetti, is Michaela on a separate feed?
No, she's there.
Okay, Michaela, go ahead and make, I see your name on the screen now. Go ahead and make your presentation. Just make sure you're off mute.
So I wasn't sure exactly what I'm supposed to be presenting.
Well, first of all, identify yourself for the record. And
Hi, so I'm Michaela Kradak, owner of Butterfly and Sage, opening a salon / crystal shop on 320 Howe Ave.
Okay, this is on the first floor of the
Yes.
new building at Cedar Village at Carroll's.
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
so you have looks like you have the left corner ground floor. All right. Okay, so this is for a sign. So tell us about your sign.
So Larry knows more about that, but I know it's pretty much all flat. It has the burgundy outline to be consistent with Bellows Barber Studio. And then the only element that's raised is the butterfly.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Bork, can you take it from there and give us some technical aspects?
Yes, thank you. Her sign is basically a non-illuminated panel sign with plastic flat cutout text and a dimensional butterfly logo.
When you say dimensional, you're saying it's and Michaela did mention it was raised. So
It's
it
raised, yes.
comes out a little bit from the building.
Oh, the sign is attached to the building, but the letters are standing out from the sign background itself.
Okay, yeah, on that particular page, you can see the side profile.
Correct.
Okay, but that where it says 1/2 inch thick butterfly only, is it a block or is it an outline of a butterfly that somebody would see from the street?
Oh, you'll see it from the street. It's actually it has 3 dimensions with a digital print for the butterfly.
What is
Right,
that?
but is it a cutout butterfly?
It's 1/2 inch thick plastic with a digital graphics on it.
Okay, all right. All right, anything else you'd like to share with us?
The butterfly and sage are just vinyl on the aluminum sign background.
Okay, that's pretty permanent, weatherproof, weather resistant.
For the most part, there's a lot of signs out there with vinyl graphics, and the vinyl is rated for 5 years.
Okay, is that the same kind of treatment that was done for Bellows Barber Studio?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I was just curious as to why this particular route was being taken to for the sign versus some other means. So I don't recall, maybe other commissioners do, but I don't recall it this kind of approach to doing a sign is what we've had before with the vinyl. That's all. So okay, Mr. Rossetti, the graphic just disappeared.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can keep it up.
Okay.
Okay,
I have a question. This is Commissioner Ticky.
go ahead, Commissioner Tiki.
I didn't see any signage and the sign next to it does, oh, not signage, lighting, and the
Lighting.
next to it has lighting. Were there any plans for any lighting around this sign?
Yeah, the gooseneck.
That will go above.
Yes. Yeah, so the lights are ordered right now and they'll be placed basically that same positioning as Bellows Barber Studio.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, any other commissioners have any comments, questions, or concerns for the applicant?
Yeah, I
Or-
do, Commissioner Hooger, I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kelly.
The applicant said that the sign is good for 5 years. Is that what I heard?
The vinyl.
The vinyl, what happens then? Does it bleach out or is UV rays or, you know?
So basically I reached out to the same company to produce the same sign and the same material as Bellow Barber Studio. So I'm pretty much going with consistent.
Okay, All right, that's fair enough.
Mhm.
An example of that, many of the ground signs, the tenant panels are done up in vinyl graphics.
Okay,
So they stand up pretty well. Like I say, the vinyl manufacturer says that the life of the vinyl is 5 to 7 years, but that depends on, where is it facing
weather,
north?
sun,
Is
so
it
on
in
and
the
so
sun
forth.
all the
So forth.
time? Yeah,
Understand.
yeah. But
Okay.
it's not a big deal, because if something did happen to the vinyl, and it does occasionally, it's easy to replace with brand new vinyl.
Okay, one more question on the gooseneck lighting. Is it going to be spaced proportionately according to the sign as such as the barber studio was done?
So,
Who does that? Does the owner do that, or do you guys?
yeah, the landlord, he's planning on doing that. I'm not exactly sure on his exact positioning, but I know it's the same lengths.
All right, he has good taste, so I'm not.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Well, the point is that the two over Bellows Barber Studio light up the words. So you really can't put the goosenecks spread out because they're,
No, that's what I meant, proportionally across the sign,
yeah,
as the other sign has.
right. Yeah. Is this like a double storefront? That particular unit? It looks wider. And do you happen to know, Mr. Bork, the size difference, or Mr. Rossetti, between the butterfly and sage versus the bellows?
Well, certainly from that photograph, the bellows looks longer.
Yeah.
He has more
Square
copy.
footage, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that they should be in proportion to each other and to the storefront. The storefront says 18 feet wide, but we don't know exactly what the,
Chairwoman, if I may just interject,
sure.
the reason we have a sign committee is so that these lengthy discussions don't take place at the commission level.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, we just didn't have time for this go around, and there were quite a few signs that were submitted to the sign committee for review. One of my concerns is that if you refer to regulation 44.6.2G, it says signs for individual tenants or occupants of a multi-tenant building shall be designed to reflect a coordinated aesthetic scheme for the entire multi-tenant building. Such signs shall be uniform in their letter size, letter style, type of illumination, wall placement, colors, and types of signs within the building. So again, just trying to keep a consistent look throughout. And I realize they've tried to do that with the color scheme, with the burgundy frame around that. And the type font, if you will, is similar to Bellows, but again, it's not a consistent look across. So one of the things I question is the material. Is it the same as Bellows Barber? And realizing that you may be constrained because of the size of your butterfly logo. Is it possible to possibly make that butterfly a little bit smaller so that the butterfly and sage can be more consistent with Bellows Barber Studio? And actually, will it allow it to stand out a little bit more? So these are the types of discussions that the sign committee has with the applicant. And then, when it comes before the full commission, they're all vetted out. So again, might be something we want to table. That's up to the commission, but those are just my comments.
No, absolutely. No, I think they're very valid. It's not like we don't like to move along with sign requests, but this is exactly what we're trying to avoid, is to have these lengthy discussions and have all of these details worked out at the subcommittee level. So what's the commission's preference on this? Should it be tabled, or do you want to proceed with it, knowing that we may not just end up with something that's consistent with the rest of the building?
If Michaela will allow, I'll make a suggestion that we send her a new rendering and getting the look and the size of the sign pretty much like Bellows. I mean, Butterfly and Sage is not as long as Bellows Barber Studio, but we can make a change and see how that looks. If you would allow us to send that to Alex, and he can look at that administratively if you would prefer.
Mhm. So you're suggesting, Mr. Bork, that this is, you would do an approval with the condition that staff review it and make sure that it does conform to the Bellows Barber Studio one?
Only with Michaela's approval, because a larger sign may cost her a little bit more.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but that's one of the things that we have to strive for, consistency along the storefront of especially a new building. So how does the rest of the commission feel? Which way are you, would you prefer that this be handled?
It's Commissioner Wodomski.
Go ahead, Commissioner Adamski.
The only question I have is looking at that right above the butterfly and stage, is that a jut out, if I remember correctly?
That white piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if it is, I'm looking at the, yeah,
It
that
is.
part there.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at that gooseneck, and it looks like that gooseneck is not going to fit underneath that overhang.
Mhm.
And we're going to need to come up with a way to make it, if we're going to look for the consistency across the front of the building, which is what we're striving for. We may have to look at something, a different way to maybe do that or modify that light somehow. But I agree with Commissioner Parkins. Maybe before we even go any further, since we didn't get a chance to meet as a sign committee, maybe table the whole slot of them that we were supposed to meet on, and we can continue moving the meeting along.
Mhm.
To accommodate the gooseneck lights, I mean, usually we center the sign on the tenant space. In order to have the goosenecks there, would it be okay to move the sign more to the left to accommodate the gooseneck lighting? I don't want to see
I don't know.
half her sign lit, you know?
I think that might be deceiving to where the doorway is,
Mhm.
which the doorway is really all the way to your right. So I don't know. I don't think there would be I'm not an architect or a builder, but it doesn't look to me like there would be a issue with the gooseneck, but that's something that maybe staff could check out
Okay.
and or the sign company check out. So we have that information.
Mhm.
And does, Michaela, do you know, is there another, or maybe the chairwoman knows, is there another storefront on the other side? Is it a gym or something for the apartment complex? I'm trying to, or is there a cafe or something?
Well, that,
There's
you
nothing
have that
there.
patio and it's recessed back.
Yeah,
And then it juts out again on the right side, closer to JC Sports Bar. And that's,
there's no signage there currently, is there?
no,
Okay,
mm-mm. No, I think to right, all that brick to the right of Bellows, that's that
Yeah.
space that goes upstairs.
yeah, but then there's that patio area,
Right, and the rest of the building sits back.
right,
Well,
right. I'm sure that this butterfly and sage can be designed with minimal modification to be much more similar to Bellows Barber, so.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so what's the commission's preference? Is this something that we should table? Is it something that we should approve conditionally with the staff finalizing the details as to the gooseneck and the size and that kind of thing?
I would say the only thing I see with the design is that Bellows has a much bolder font, which I think would
Mhm.
probably a better look for the butterfly and sage sign
Mhm,
to be more similar to that.
mhm.
I'm thinking those goosenecks probably will fit under there, but it's impossible to say from here. So I would think we could move ahead with this based on that redesign and staff review, but table the rest of the signs. I just think we're going to be here for another hour just
Too
talking
long,
about
yeah.
signs, and there's
Mhm.
quite a bit on the agenda.
Exactly.
You know what, I would be in favor of letting this be approved administratively as long as it's, I think they know, I think the whole commission understands what we're trying to do is we're looking for a consistent look, and I don't think the applicant is opposed to, so if they come back with something more consistent with Bellows, show us where the goosenecks are going to be. Possibly they want to put 3 over there because it is a little bit longer than Bellows. And then let staff give it to the sign commission and just approve it administratively if everyone is in favor of doing that. I don't think we're that far away on this sign.
No, we're not. Okay, so this, Commissioner Parkins, to make sure I understand, so this would be an approval with staff working out the details with a new design submitted to them.
Correct, but let them run it by the sign committee.
Yeah, okay. All right. So anybody else have any comments?
I agree with that.
Okay, all right, so is there someone that would like to make a motion for application 5177 with a condition that a revised design layout be submitted to staff for review by the zoning subcommittee? And it should include details as to a better font match, maybe a different length of the sign, and to make sure that the goosenecks are going to fit in the appropriate spots, and perhaps with the addition of a third one.
Yeah, I would just say it's the sign committee to review, not to approve, because we don't
Yeah,
have,
sign committee review, I'm sorry. Yep,
we don't have approval authority.
no. Okay, is there anybody who wants to move that motion?
I'll
So
make the
moved.
motion.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, Elaine, then Commissioner Amato, you spoke up to a motion to approve.
I'll second Charlie's motion.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly, you making that motion?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and Commissioner Amato is seconding it. So on the motion to approve the signage for application 5177 on the condition that a revised layout be submitted to staff that includes perhaps a longer sign, a sign that has a font that matches more towards the size of the font used for Velos, and at least 2, if not 3, goosenecks. And for it to be submitted to the zoning subcommittee for their review is I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Wadomski,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion has passed 6-0. Okay, so seeing that we have 2 signs side by side on Howe Avenue, 434 Howe and 438 Howe, which are the next 2, is it the desire of the commission to table those as well for the zoning subcommittee to review
Yes.
those in more detail?
I beg your pardon?
What Commissioner Parkins had suggested during our discussion for application 5177, that seeing that the sign committee had not been able to meet to approve any of the signs that are on tonight's agenda, that they be tabled so that the zoning subcommittee could do so, so that not to have a prolonged discussion for each particular sign.
Okay. I don't believe we were given an option up front to go to the subcommittee. What happened?
When
That-
did you submit your application, sir?
Excuse me?
When did you submit the application?
Well, it's been in, I don't have the actual date. Josh could tell you.
For 5192, it's dated September 29th. And for 5193, it's dated September 29th. So that's only this.
A week before this meeting. There's
Meeting.
no time for the subcommittee to meet to review that. It's too
I
short.
got you.
notice.
No, I'm
Mhm.
not complaining. I'm just asking because I didn't,
Yeah.
really didn't know what the process was these days.
This is the first regular meeting when our certificates were zoning compliance are put on the agenda. And it's just a matter that the timing was such that the
Okay.
zoning subcommittee couldn't meet. So is there a motion?
When is the next subcommittee meeting? Do you know?
That is something that staff will arrange with the 3 members of the subcommittee, which Commissioner Amato is the chair, and the other 2 members on the zoning subcommittee are Commissioner Parkins and Commissioner Radomski. So I'm sure that Mr. Rossetti, being the administrator, will make sure that that is something that is taken care of right away. If the Mr. Rossetti, if this was to be tabled and the zoning subcommittee could meet, what's the first available time slot, you think, the 20th or the 27th, for it to be put back on the agenda? What are we doing with notice and everything? Are we past the notice time for the 20th?
I mean, those are special meetings with hearings. I'd have to double check what's on those agendas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just also note that staff really needs to reach out to the owner of this building. Again, if you read regulation 44.6.2 G and E, you'll see that these signs really don't conform to that. Although this is a PDD, so there's a little more flexibility in it. There's some signage that really needs to be discussed with the owner. So this really needs to be tabled, this particular application.
Mhm. All right, does anybody want to make a motion to table applications 51, 92, and 93?
Commissioner,
Oh.
to a motion to table.
And that was Commissioner Ticky?
Yes.
Okay. And so Commissioner Ticky has made a motion to table numbers 51, 92, and 93. Is there a second?
Commissioner Parkins will second.
Okay. And on the motion to table, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Wodomski,
Aye.
and Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So applications, motion has passed 6-0, and applications 51, 92, and 93 have been tabled. The next one is 5194. That is Bishop Development, Bushy Band, 762 River Road. Does anybody have any issues with this particular one? Again, is this something that's,
I think this one's pretty straightforward. I had no issues with this sign.
yeah. Mr. Rossetti, can you put the graphics up, the one-page graphic up on the, and is the applicant available and present?
Present. This is Larry with ABC Signs.
Okay, Mr. Pork, you've got this one again.
Yes, man.
It's a full house for you tonight.
No,
Okay.
wrong one.
Wrong one.
Wrong one.
That's the previous one. So 5194. Keep going. Next, another,
Bishop Development, number
Yeah.
4.
that's it.
There we
Okay.
go. Yep.
So this is down where, in the building on River Road where Fatty Patty is?
That's correct. Patty,
Okay, so this
Patty's
is,
on the left and
Patty.
Bushy Band will be on the right.
right, okay. What is Bushy Band? Anybody know?
Martial arts.
Oh, okay,
We were thinking food.
exactly. I was saying, boy, this is turning into a foodie spot, that's for sure. Okay, so this is a martial arts studio. Interesting. All right, so what do you, can you tell us about, and is there anybody else with you, Mr. Bork?
No, just me.
Okay,
Now, this
Right.
is, these are illuminated channel letters. LED illumination.
mhm,
They will be, the logo and the Bushy Band are individual letters that are mounted to the sign band.
okay. Is this an exact duplicate of the Fatty Patty? You know, in the way it's put together?
Yes,
Okay,
except for the logo.
yeah, okay, but, yeah, just a note to staff that when we have something like this, to only see a segment of a building is not helpful, even if the applicant doesn't initially submit that particular visual. They should be asked to provide the picture of the whole frontage of the building so that we can look to see how it looks compared to what's already there existing. There's some storefronts between the two end tenants, isn't there?
Yes,
Yeah, they're not occupied yet.
no,
Okay, all right. So that logo has something to do with the fact that it's a martial arts studio?
correct.
What's the illumination on this particular one?
And they're LEDs, internal LEDs.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly, you've been in the electrical business for a while. What kind of illumination can we expect from this? Is it anything that's very
No.
disturbing? Okay.
It should be very soft
Okay.
lighting.
It is because they're also what we call halo illumination. So that there's light coming out of the back of the sign that washes up along the wall. And
Mhm.
therefore, the facelit doesn't have to be as bright.
Okay. Yeah, you're not gonna get that big glare
No,
coming around the corner. Years and years ago, when I was a college student, there was up at Central Connecticut, New Britain, there was a house around the corner and quite a ways down the street from the main drag that put up Christmas lights every year, that it glowed in the sky. You could stand in front of the college and look over the buildings across the street and through the trees, and you would see this glow, and it was from their Christmas lights. We all had to take a walk. The girls in my dorm had to take a walk one night to see where the heck is this glow, and it was just amazing. So that's the kind of thing for a motorist. We wouldn't want to have a motorist distracted as they were driving down the street. So does any commissioners have any comments, questions, or concerns for the applicant on application 5194? Looks
Chairwoman,
good.
I will add that you raised a good point about what the rest of the building is. So we're just taking his word that it is consistent lettering and style wise as the rest of the building. I did not, in reviewing all these signs, I did not consider that on this one. I don't have any issue with the sign, but I just don't know that conforms to what's there. I'm trying to pull it up on Google Maps, but I don't know that.
Right.
It's pulled up now.
Yeah, that's pre-signage though.
Right.
Oh, that's the thing.
okay.
Larry, can you confirm that for us?
No,
You did.
but if you look at page 2 of what we submitted, showing the tenant panels on the ground sign.
Mhm. What about the color of Fatty Patty? Anybody know this
It's
one?
black, but
It's
you
black,
can see
yeah.
that the Fatty Patty is a different font.
Right, but the night illumination, is it red as well?
Oh, it's not red. No.
At night, Fatty Patty is not. Now, see, that's the kind of consistency that we want to have.
I
So-
agree. Unfortunately, I'm working from home. If I was at the office, I could pull up our file on Fatty Patty and.
Oh,
see-
you had
There
to.
it is.
Oh, there we go.
There it is.
There we go.
All right, so that's the daytime. Yeah, the font, that's what their corporate style is.
Yep.
Anything that shows nighttime illumination would be interesting.
It's probably just general illumination of white, I would assume.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just saying, compared to what we
The
have.
red?
Yeah, the
Right.
red, are we gonna have that kind of thing? Only because if you're gonna have one that's gonna stand out on the right side, maybe Fatty Patty should, or, they should be matching like that. Why because driving by, somebody's gonna say, oh, their lights are out. Kind of
Well,
thing.
there's also going to be storefronts in between those two signs. So again, Larry, what we're really looking for is consistency in these signages. So
Mhm.
Would there be a problem, Larry, of changing it to white from red? Or is that the logo of the company or what?
I was told that that's the color that the customer wanted the halo or backlit lighting to be. So
Yeah, but the halo can be white too, right?
it could be if Bushy Bond would permit,
Right.
I can ask them.
That logo, the circular logo, though, that seems to be white and illuminating. Interior illumination is white, so.
Well, the faces,
Well, the whole thing would be
yeah,
white.
the
I mean, the
graphics
logo's a
on the
logo.
face
Yeah.
are white, but it has a red halo also.
Okay. All right, well, we have questions on this that could have been worked out probably in the subcommittee. So does anyone want to table this particular application?
To Commissioner Ticky, I just think it's probably best that we do and have the sign committee review it just to make sure that it's consistent. It's such a viewable building on River Road. Make sure we get it right. So I would motion to table it.
Okay.
Very well. Okay.
There's
And if
a-
I understand you correctly, you would prefer a white halo rather than a red?
You want it consistent with what Fatty Patty has,
Yep.
the same,
Okay.
the color of.
I'm only asking because
No, I understand.
I'm not sure that Fatty Patty was halo lit also, so. But
No,
I'll,
I'm sure it isn't, but if the, on the sides of Fatty Patty, it's white, and I'm sure if it's lit, it would show white with just the black
yes,
pointing out,
that's what I think too, but I'll
Well,
go
check
over
it
that
out.
with
Yeah.
Josh and Alex.
Yeah, but Mr. Bork, that needs to be checked out, and whatever needs to have happen so that it's consistent. That needs to be done before it's brought back to the commission. I have a motion on the table, but it wasn't seconded,
I'll
so,
second it.
okay, Commissioner Kelly is seconding the motion to table. On a roll call, Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion to table is passed 6-0. Okay. All right, number 5 on the agenda should not have been included. So number 5208, Archer signs for LabCorp. And then I was advised of that by staff. So we're going to move on to the 6th application, and the correction that people need to make on their numbering is application 5209, Archer Signs Marketplace should be numbered 5208. That is a typo. So if you want to make a notation on that. This is Archer Signs for Marketplace, 811 Bridgeport Avenue. This is there's your updated agenda. This is the restaurant that is going into the old Ruby Tuesdays. And again, there was a number of signs that were presented on the website. And should we just go ahead with a motion to table so that the zoning subcommittee can review these as well? This is definitely one that, as Commissioner Tiggy referred to, Bushy Band being on a highly visible road, this is as visible, if not more. So,
I'll make the motion.
and,
Commissioner Wodomski.
okay, there's Commissioner Radomski. Thank you.
Commissioner Tiki will second.
Okay, Commissioner Radomski and Commissioner Ticky. Have made the motion to table. I'll do a roll call. Commissioner.
I'm sorry, what's happening?
Is that Mr. Vassar?
It is.
Okay, Mr. Vassar, you're representing Archer Signs Marketplace at 811
Yeah.
Bridgeport Avenue? All right,
Yes.
because the zoning subcommittee had not had the opportunity to meet to review any of the signs, and there have been several questions that commissioners have had about each of the signs. It was proposed at the beginning of the meeting by Commissioner Parkins that that the signs be tabled so that the zoning subcommittee could review them. There was not an opportunity for all the commissioners to have a zoning subcommittee, the 3 that are on it. So that's what we wanted to follow along with this one. So we have a motion to table application 5208 so that the zoning subcommittee can review the.
Well, these
application.
folks are looking to open pretty soon. I mean, how soon do I need to submit an application for it to get in the hands of the subcommittee?
Well, this was September 30th, which was.
It's a pretty good, decent amount of time.
Well,
Pardon me?
we didn't have,
It's 12 days.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
12 days.
Yeah,
not 12 weekdays. And as you know, the office is closed on Mondays, so that reduces it by 2. And there was, zoning subcommittee was not able to be scheduled, unfortunately. So as much as we would like to move things along, sometimes we cannot. So just the way things go sometimes, unfortunately. We would like to see this project up and running as much as anybody else, that's for sure. So Mr. Rossetti had indicated when I questioned him a couple of minutes ago as when I believe it was Butterfly and Sage, we were discussing as to when these sign applications can get back on. He would have to check because we do have to conform with the notice requirements for for the next 2 meetings, which are special meetings. So.
Chairwoman, I just as a suggestion and realizing that they're going to be opening soon and are probably, I mean, again, it may appear like 12 days is a lot, but you got to consider that the sign committee, we're all volunteers and we work during the day as well. We don't have a full-time job. So, to have just 4 days to try to pull a meeting together to discuss all these applications is just not reasonable. But having said that, I'm wondering if the commission would be amenable to approving a couple of the signs. There's a couple of signs I have issues with and a couple that I don't. So I don't know if we want to just take a few minutes to review some of the signs because they're really just replacing wall signs that were there for Ruby Tuesdays. My main issue is the billboard sign.
All right, I think that's a reasonable suggestion. Commissioner Parkins, does any commissioner have any objection to that?
No. It's reasonable.
All right.
So there's a front facing sign for Marketplace that's facing Bridgeport Avenue, and I believe there's a side facing sign.
All right,
I gotta rescind my motion. Because there's a motion to table this. That
Was there a
seconded.
second though?
Yeah,
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Ticky did.
Commissioner Ticky.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry, I
Yeah,
forgot
we
about
didn't
that.
vote on it. All right, so Commissioner Adamski, do you want to withdraw your motion?
Yes,
Okay, so the motion was withdrawn by Commissioner Radomski and Commissioner Ticky. Are you in seconding that withdrawal?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. All right, so Mr. Vassar, why don't we let Mr. Rossetti, first of all, put the signs up on the screen. And as Commissioner Parkins, if you can indicate as they come up, which ones are the ones that you feel you did not have questions about that you would like to point out to the commission.
Fair enough.
And then if we have any questions for Mr. Vassar, we can certainly ask. All right, so that's a graphic? Is that one of them?
I had not seen these graphics, to be honest with you. What they provided us was just
Different.
You know what,
completely.
keep going.
totally different. So this is new
Keep going.
to us.
Yeah, Mr. Rossetti, keep going up. All right, is this
Okay.
one of the ones that you saw?
no,
No.
Okay,
Not at all.
I know they were on the website twice. Go ahead up again, another page, Mr. Rossetti. Okay,
Okay, that sign is facing the parking lot where,
No.
so it's
no,
facing across from Brugger's or
that's facing the
that's
street.
the front?
That's
This
facing
is
the
this one is
street.
facing
That's
Bridgeport
the front
Avenue.
of the building.
Okay, it's facing Bridgeport Avenue. Okay, I personally have no issue with that sign.
Mhm. Why is there such a big gap under kitchen bar? Is there something else? behind that?
He is in there. What do you mean?
It says marketplace in red, kitchen bar in white, and then what's below it?
It could be uplights. Who knows?
No, there's nothing going, there's nothing going.
Let Mr. Vassar speak, everyone. Mr. Vassar, go ahead on what's below kitchen bar.
There's nothing below. It's just elevated to get it higher off the ground so it's more visible. That's it. There's
All right.
nothing happening below there.
All right, so like on one of the other pages where there was a circle with MP, you're not planning to put something like
That's-
that in there?
No, that's going above the door just so people know where the
Right.
front door is.
Yeah, I just didn't know if for some reason, that's why there was such a big space there.
No, just wanted to elevate it. We're just kind of justifying it to the upper edge as opposed to centering it because it's a long, narrow sign. It sort of looks silly floating in the middle, to be honest.
I think it looks a little silly myself floating at the top.
Well, it's justified, just like if you would justify something left in certain situations, but
understand.
graphically speaking,
Yep,
to have it justified to the top, it's in line more with the trim that you see in the backdrop on the walls in the background.
all right. Can we just scroll down to the next one, page 5? Okay, that's the technical stuff. All right, so go back up for a minute. Go up to number 3. All right, there's that red circle. And
It's above the
okay,
front door.
yeah, that's over the door. All right, now see to the left of it, there's what's the kind of sign that's on the pole? What's that?
Pylon.
pylon. Okay, so there's that. Now that's not, that's centered
It's a
there,
billboard.
a billboard kind of thing. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's a much narrower space.
Yeah.
That's a, you know, it's maybe a 2-foot area. It's a very small
Mhm.
pylon sign. And it was utilized by Ruby Tuesdays in the same
Right.
manner.
Right, okay. Would, before I ask the commission, would the applicant be, against having a smaller circle sign added to the front wall, to the front one? In that big empty space? I think that's just something that looks like you forgot something there, you know?
They may either
Mhm.
add it or ask them if they'll center it, you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it makes
either
more,
way.
I think it makes more
I
sense.
graphically, I get the point why it's raised. It's really a visual. Graphically, it doesn't bother me with the placement. I understand that it's more a visual, that they want it to be up as high as possible.
Mhm.
And that may counter a request that I'm going to make to take that billboard sign down, because it does not conform to our regulations.
Mhm. Okay, well, let's talk about the front of the building first, because that seemed to be one Commissioner Parkers that you especially had said you didn't have a problem with.
Correct.
I just think that it's missing something there, and a smaller circle would balance it. That's all.
Well, you know, I don't know that they're, you know, they would object to it, but
Mhm.
you know, I can run it by them. I mean,
Okay.
basically, if the board would have, you know, given approval based on either centering it or adding a circle, then they could approve it administratively. I think that would help, because then we can
Yeah.
at least move forward
Yeah, I
and give
know.
them the option. And then if they
Yeah.
don't add the circle, then just center it and move on.
Right.
I'm
Okay,
not following you, Jenny. I'm not following what you're saying. This
all right,
is-
Mr. Rossetti, go back down to number 4, if you wouldn't mind. All right, see where the big wooded space below
Yeah.
kitchen bar, to me, that is just missing something.
Yeah,
And I'm saying, you know, like what we did up at Little Barn, we had them add a smaller little, the owl logo. I'm just saying, take that red circle and put it in the center there, smaller, it's in some proportion.
so
And
another sign under the sign.
not adding the red circle. Mr.
Yeah.
Vass,
Logo under the sign.
I don't need that myself. Yeah.
well, what Mr. Vassar said is that he would approach the applicant to see if they want to do something like that, or if they want to take the marketplace kitchen bar lines and center them, you know. So why are you raising it? Is it for some reason, there isn't like a tree in front somewhere that people are gonna, their view is gonna be blocked?
No, it's just graphically, it's such a large space.
Yep.
I felt that it looked better justified to the top. That it was just, it was really, it was my call. It wasn't even theirs. So I think if they,
Yeah.
I don't know that they would be, if they would object to centering it or
Mhm.
adding an icon either above or below it and putting
Yep.
it down low and putting the icon above. Like, I
Yep.
think that's what Little Barn did.
Right.
But if everyone's okay with either of those options, then we can go in that direction. And then, like I said, I'll bring in a different drawing and they can approve it administratively if it's one or the other.
Okay,
And
Yeah,
what is
Commissioner
it-
Radomski.
go ahead, Commissioner Radomski.
To me, it doesn't matter whether that's centered or not. If he likes it at the top and that's what the client wants, I'm okay with that. I'm a little reluctant to put another logo out in the front, because we're gonna have one over the side door. If you
Yeah,
go
but
down,
that's like a different side of the building. That's to show where the entrance is.
it's still facing the road. That part,
They're
that
both
side is
facing
still,
Bridgeport Avenue.
Mhm.
Well, but it's got that iron trellis in front of it. You know, you really don't, you don't really see it from the road. But
Yeah.
Well,
it's
that's something
our
we'll take up next.
regulations. Mhm.
Yeah, I think I like the simplicity of it, and it looks dramatic, and I can see why they are doing this, but it's a matter of taste.
Yeah.
Did the staff review this for size? This meets our size requirements.
I believe it does. I'd have to refer to Josh on that, but I believe so. It certainly looks it. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Okay.
All right, well, can we then at least work, take some action on the one that's in the front of the building and the rest table for further discussion, because I think we're gonna end up,
I'm in agreement with that.
Well,
Commissioner
oh,
Woodowski.
does anyone have a problem with the logo above the door or the sign on the side?
I think
Is there
that's
any-
something that we should give the zoning subcommittee the ability to discuss and to review. I think we're gonna rush it otherwise,
Uh-huh.
and, yeah.
I think something they may want to consider in that particular application, rather than that MP above the door, is to just put a decal on the door itself, the glass door, that
Mhm.
indicates where the entrance is. That may be a good substitute for that. Because you will then, in fact, have two signs facing Bridgeport Avenue.
Mhm. Yeah, and
And
we,
since it can't be visible from the road anyways, it's really not making that much of a difference if you just put a decal on the door. On the
Well,
door.
it keeps it up higher above the iron trellis so you can see it from the parking lot. You don't see it so much from the street, but it does help visually in the parking lot when it's higher.
you
But you
know,
also had another sign on that side anyway, if you go back to the other picture.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're correct. If they have the other sign on the side, that would help. Decals on the door might be fine.
mhm.
It would
That would
help
be for
drive
another
it.
discussion. And I think in the spirit of time and working with the applicant, I got to agree with Commissioner Parkins that, we can, because you are opening soon, and as long as the rest of the commissioners agree that the sign on the front that we're looking at right now on the screen is acceptable, I think we should accept that and then table the rest of it for the sign subcommittee.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you know what? This is not like it's a new building. It's, yes, a remodeled building, but a lot of people are gonna say, oh, where's the marketplace? Well, that's where Ruby Tuesdays used to be. That's the Ruby Tuesdays building. They're gonna know how you got into Ruby Tuesdays. So they're not gonna expect to be parking in the parking lot between here and the bagel place and Five Guys and have to walk all the way around to the other side of the building to get in. You're gonna think that.
You would be surprised. You would be surprised.
Yeah, I know. Everything
Well,
happens these days. So,
I think approving this front signage is a good compromise for right now.
I think so.
yep.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and Mr. Vassar, just to let you know, down at the bottom of the hill where Chase Bank is, it was Chase Bank. We did not. Have they come back in for that signage? What was the status? They wanted two signs, which would have been both facing the road, and we were not going to permit that. So it's not like.
Yeah, no, I understand. I thought it was set back enough and behind the iron. I didn't think too much of it, but
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, all right, so now, is there a motion to approve just the front sign over the front of the building for application 5208 with the applicant designer presenting perhaps a revised, speaking to the applicant and presenting a revised location for that sign on the wood to staff. You think I covered everything? I think so.
I'm not, I don't think they need to change the location personally.
Well, that
for
was
my-
the option that Mr. Vassar brought up. So,
Well,
Well-
I'm only suggesting it because, there was the point made that it looked a little odd up top, up high like that. They would be fine with it staying where it is. And if the rest of the board doesn't have an issue with it, then we'll just keep it the way it is.
mhm.
If everybody feels like it needs to be lower or in the middle or have an icon on top of it, I don't think they would be opposed to that either. If
Mhm.
everyone is okay with either way, then since we're losing the icon on above the door, I can ask them if they want to put the icon above or below the lettering. If everyone's okay with that, if they are, then if it's all right for administration to approve that, it would be helpful.
Okay,
This is Commissioner Wodomski. What I think we're running into is this. We don't know what we're going to do on the side of that building because you have the sign facing the parking lot. You have the sign facing the logo facing the street. Then we still have to deal with the billboard sign out in the front. So to me, my suggestion would be to leave the sign where it is on the building because it looks fine to wait to me. And then we can always come back and visit putting the logo back on the front to fill in that space, depending on what happens on the rest of the building.
Is that their logo, Brian, the MP, or is it just something they were putting over the door? Is it an actual logo? Does it
No,
appear on any
it's-
of their letterheads or anything like that?
I don't know if it's on their letterhead. It's their logo. They created it. The marketplace lettering, as it's shown on the building, is what they've used at another location. I don't know if they used that little meatball at that location or not. I haven't been there. I've been wanting to go, but I haven't made it.
Okay. I'm not opposed to the sign as is. And when we say front, we mean facing Bridgeport Avenue, because they may consider
Right.
the front where the front door is, so.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to put the sign, to accept the sign over the front door as discussed and then pictured, and everything else gets tabled.
You mean the sign facing Bridgeport Avenue, not above the front door, right?
You're right, my mistake. The sign facing
No.
Bridgeport Avenue in the picture we discussed.
Okay. Yes,
Just-
got it.
leaving
If
it
everyone's
like
okay
that,
with that.
leaving it where it is on the raised position with Mr. Vassar approaching the client to find out if they wanted to add the logo.
Later on, if we have, depending on what happens on the rest of the building.
Yep.
We don't know
okay.
what we're gonna do with the rest of the building, but it leaves us options. If the
Okay.
client is happy, in my opinion, if the client is happy with what he has presented to them, which he already did, they were happy with that. If
Mhm.
things
Well,
don't go okay with the
Yeah.
other thing, it leaves them the option to put that there if we so desire.
Right. And that's the point I'm making. So if they're going to lose like the logo above the door or something else, they may want to add that meatball, I'm calling it, on that elevation because they're losing it above the door.
Exactly.
So, but
All right, we have a motion
we
on
can
the
we can
table.
bring that we can bring that to the sign subcommittee, because if we manufacture that sign as it is, where we place it on the building is not paramount at this moment.
Mhm.
We can put it into the schedule, and if they want to add that logo, we can bring another drawing showing that logo
Mhm.
to the meeting as a backup,
Mhm.
and then and just we'll know it before it gets placed on the building, and that's the important thing.
All right. Does anybody have any questions regarding illumination or whatever? Like we did for
As long as the illumination, Jenny, if you want to put in a motion, as long as the illumination meets all the regulations
Mhm.
and the signs within regulations, et cetera, yada, yada.
Okay. All right. I think Mr. Radomski has clarified the motion, and is there a second to it?
A second.
Okay, so a motion by Commissioner Radomski, seconded by Commissioner Motto for application 5208, the sign being just the one on the front of the building as it's presented now, with the circular logo to be possibly added later if the client desires, based on what happens to the rest of the signage on the building.
Right.
Okay, so Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you very much, Mr. Foster. The motion has been passed, approved 6-0.
The next
And-
one
Wait a minute.
before, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One thing that we did not include in that particular motion is to table the rest of the ones in that application. So is there a motion from someone to table the rest of the pictures, or sorry, not pictures, signs that were presented as part of application corrected number 5208?
I'll make the motion to keep it consistent.
Okay, Commissioner Radomski, and how about a second?
A second. I guess the motion would be that it's going to be reviewed by the sign committee. Is that
Mhm.
table for tonight and
Table
to be reviewed?
Yes, exactly. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, so motion to table the rest of the signs in that application 5208 for review by the sign zoning subcommittee. I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay. All right, so, but before we leave, Mr. Vassar, did you have a question? or comment?
Well, I just wanted to say before you table the next one, it's LabCorp and we're just replacing the logo from one to the other. So it's pretty straightforward if you guys have the time.
We do not have that paperwork in front of us.
Oh,
Yeah, it was not put on the website.
Staff is going to review and approve that application. There's nothing that needs to go to this.
Oh,
sign
okay.
subcommittee.
Oh,
It's a
I got you.
reduction in overall.
yeah, it's pretty, they're just swapping their logo.
We
from
understand.
one
You
to
can
the
take
other.
that up with the staff. We
Yep.
indicated that particular application, when we got down to number 5, was not one that should have been put on the agenda.
Copy that.
All right, have a good night, Mr. Vassar. Okay, next agenda item is old business application 2110, Riverside Commercial. Public hearing for this application opened July 1st, continued on August 17th and September 29th. During those public hearings, we heard the proposal from Mr. Getz. We received required parking information for the entire parking lot between the lofts and Riverside Commercial, and also answers to commission questions regarding restaurant hours, adaptive reuse. We heard comments from the traffic authority as not having concerns, but planning to monitor the area and bring concerns to staff if necessary. On September 29th, Mr. O'Neill again reviewed the parking requirements, which was calculated to be 40 spaces with 8 as shared. Mr. Getz indicated the second floor is not handicap accessible and would be technically unfeasible to do so. And at that meeting on September 29th, we closed the public hearing. So how would the commission like to proceed on this application?
Before you proceed, Commissioner Wodomski, I wasn't present for any of the discussion, so if you want to see the
Commissioner Laskos.
yes, if he was there, yes, fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Commissioner Laskos, I'll seat you for discussion and any action on application 2110. Could you just unmute yourself and indicate that you are aware of that? Commissioner Laskos?
Taking a break.
Let's see.
Can we proceed?
Well,
Yeah,
give me
there's
a
enough
second.
of us, right?
Yeah, there is. I just wanted to inform him.
Yeah.
So. Go tell him.
Can you perhaps call him?
Send them a
That's what I'm
text message.
Yeah, that I already did.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Hello.
Okay. All right, so Commissioner Laskos, I just wanted to have you confirm that you are aware that you're being seated for application 2110 in place of Mr. Commissioner Radomski, as he had not been present for these discussions.
Okay,
Very good.
I have been.
Thank you. All right, so how would the commission like to proceed in this application? The public hearing is closed. It's time for discussion.
Yeah, this is the one where he was just asking that the second floor spaces be converted to 8 apartments rather than office space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it seems from the success of the project that he really is going to need to do that. I think if there really was any demand for office space, it'd be feasible and not too difficult to convert that space back to office space. And I would think as a landlord, that might be more desirable than apartments. So I'm inclined to go along with this proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Harger.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kelly, you're next.
it was built for commercial, not residential, which I understand.
Mhm.
But being built in the second floor, not having any sort of a lift or, elevator, Viva escalators or whatever, and try to put offices up there, really, it's not of the highest and best use of that property. So I believe that with the apartments above, it is the highest and best use. So I would consider it to be a better fit.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Who else would like to comment on this particular?
Chair,
And that's Commissioner Velasco.
yeah. I think it was clear the last meeting on the parking and how the layout was and the explanation done by staff. So along with the previous meeting on the apartment from going from commercial to apartments,
Mhm.
inclined to.
Mhm. All right. So your inclination is for approval on changing it to a residential use.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Adamski, you're recused. I mean, you're not seated for this. Commissioner Parkins, Commissioner Ticky, do either of you want to share any thoughts on this?
It appears
Yes.
Commissioner Dickey.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Yeah, I'm sure they'll have no problem filling the apartments with folks who want to live downtown. I hope that the applicant, if approved, works with the residents there about the parking. I do think the parking lot seemed a little tight, so they're going to have to work with the residents there to ensure folks know where they park, because I understand there's a need for parking in downtown with the nearby businesses and the restaurant and whatnot. So I hope that working with staff, they can communicate to us how they're going to make that clear to residents. But again, I think that they'll have no problem at all filling the apartments with folks who want to live in downtown in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I do think that there was some kind of comment at the last meeting that there would be signage to identify which spaces, but that would
reserved.
okay.
Yes.
Mr. Getz, I'm sorry, you cannot speak. The public
Oh,
hearing
awesome.
is closed.
Yeah,
So,
Chairman, just to close that loop, I understand that. I'm just, I think it's important that's noted and then that's followed up with, because we all know human nature. It's, we just want to make sure folks know where they park. And as there's other businesses downtown and in that immediate area, that folks have some clarity with where they park.
yeah, I'm sure that that staff will have the appropriate discussions with the applicant. So, Commissioner Parkins, did you want to say anything?
Sure, I may be the lone man out here on this, but I do recall when we approved this building way back when, I don't even recall how many years ago it was, but it has to be at least 4 years ago. We were really looking for mixed use downtown, and a lot of the apartments that were being built or being proposed along Canal Street were not able to have that component of mixed use. And so this building, in my view, was sort of an alternative to not having the mixed use in the apartment buildings and to put this commercial building over in the hopes that a nice restaurant with the restaurant view would attract not only restaurant, but when we looked at the parking, which we all know downtown is very tight parking, and when we looked at the shared parking, it was really designed because you could have people that are during the day and using the offices, and then people come home at night and those offices are no longer occupied, so that parking is available. I don't ever recall disagreeing with Tony Panico on anything, but I think you did say something when this public hearing opened, is that people typically don't come home till 10 o'clock at night when the restaurant would be closing. But in this case, in this time and age, that's not true. People are, especially the younger people, are demanding to be able to work from home with flexible hours. And so I do think that there's going to be a clash between the tenants that are in that building and the restaurant use. And I think it's just going to exacerbate all the nasty comments that are always being made about the planning for downtown. And I just really, really think we need to encourage as much mixed use as possible. And if this building gets converted to apartments, that there's, 4 or 8 spaces on that second level that are not going to be available for office. So we see an optometrist just moved in there. Great article. He's excited. He's going to grow his business down there. I'm really not in favor of converting it to apartments. I do understand that the applicant has had some issues trying to rent it, but I'm just thinking that his time is coming. That's my hope, and that's my view. So I'm opposed to it.
Mhm. Okay. Just to back up what Commissioner Parkin said, this application originally for the lofts and the retail commercial component of it in the separate building that we're discussing this evening was application 15-17. And the resolution for that was prepared for the January 12th, 2016 meeting. So we're almost 5 years down the road now. That, not necessarily 5 years down the road from the time that the building was erected, but it has been on the in the process for quite a while.
Chair, I had a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dickey.
I know there was conversation about the nature of this building and the lack of an elevator, and as apartments go in, can staff tell us what record or documents we have from the state, or what clarity we have that there does not need to be an elevator in this building, and it does not need to be ADA accessible for residences?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Rossetti, can you speak to that at all? Or Mr. Panico?
It's really a building official.
Mm-hmm. Function of the building department?
Do we have a letter? Do we have documentation that an elevator is not needed in this if it were to move forward with apartments?
Mhm.
I mean, every multifamily in town has walk-ups, even new ones.
Is it too few? It's too few apartments, I think, to require.
Mhm.
I'm
I
guessing.
thought Mr. Getz explained that when he was explaining why he did the apartments. I think we asked that question then,
Was
but I'm not quite
presenting it
sure.
as a conversion.
Right.
Right, the applicant was saying it was a conversion, but it was built several years ago. So I just want to make sure that if this is to be residence, that an elevator is not required.
Right. No, that's a good point. Mr. Panico, do you have any comments on that?
I think it is a strange situation because theoretically, it's a conversion of existing space.
Mm-hmm.
If this were new space going in, I think different rules would have applied.
Yeah. If you can put that back on the screen, Mr. Rossetti, I just wanted to point out that Mr. Rossetti did put up this particular result of the Connecticut Building Code. It's attributed to that the state building code requires any building that has 5 or more stories to have an elevator if the building permit was issued after December 31st, 2005. So
With 2 exceptions. What are those exceptions?
yeah. Can you go back to that, Mr. Rossetti?
I thought those exceptions were if you didn't need an elevator 5 stories, but I don't know.
Well, that's
No, it said with 2 exceptions.
exceptions.
Right, I
Yeah.
think those 2 exceptions were, I don't know what they are, but that would be ones that,
Yeah, Mr. Rossetti, are you looking for detail on that? I think so. All right.
So if the building has automatic fire sprinklers, it does not have to elevators on.
That have a horizontal exit.
Or 2 through or around a wall portion. Well, this is excluded. Not excluded. This does not have to have an elevator.
right. And it's an unfortunate situation, but it doesn't have one.
Okay. All right. So elevators and standby power with 2 exceptions. But where is it pointing out the exceptions? Right there.
One.
Have a horizontal exit
One, 2.
and a ramp. Buildings. Okay. It does have the automatic fire sprinklers. Do not have to have elevators on floors that have a horizontal exit and are located at or above the level of exit discharge or a ramp.
Does this building have a horizontal exit or?
I've never heard of
Ramp.
it before, a horizontal exit. as an
You should
exit.
get out the window, I think.
Here's the definition right there. The code defines a horizontal exit as an exit path from one building to an area on approximately the same level in another building, or through or around a wall or partition to an area on approximately the same level in the same building, which provides safety from fire and smoke from the area affected by fire.
The exceptions are only for buildings over 5 stories,
That's what I was saying,
5
yeah.
or
Yeah.
more. So a 2-story building does not need a,
Does
We
not
know
need
that.
an elevator.
Okay. That's not how I was reading it.
Mm.
No, but that's the way it should be, yeah.
No, but on the second paragraph where it starts with 2 exceptions.
Yeah, but you have to read the whole thing.
I know, that's what I was trying to do. Defines as a horizontal with the exit and okay, all right. I'm not comfortable with us having some kind of professional opinion on this, one way or the other. So,
Yeah, Chairman, I would agree. I appreciate that. We all researched it together, but I would feel much better if, at least for when I vote, that we have clarity and a documentation that an elevator is not needed if this building is going to be residences and staff or perhaps the applicant, but some entity can request that and then get that documentation.
yeah, I'd like to see that someone clarify exactly what we were just shown as to those 2 exceptions and put it in basic language. So is there anyone that wants to make a motion to table for referral to the appropriate person or company that would be able to issue whatever kind of report is necessary to clarify for the commission as to
I
whether or
would think
not
we
we're
would
gonna be-
ask for something from our building official.
Yeah.
What are we tabling? Because there's no vote on the.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not to table, but to keep, to continue, to have staff,
Continue discussion.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
to direct,
That's
perhaps
the
direct
only
the staff
issue, we can
to-
take an action subject.
Chair, this is Commissioner Laskos. I'm more inclined to make it a motion to approve. I thought we should have approved last meeting.
yeah,
I really don't see that it's a 2-story
Why?
building.
Commissioner, why can't we just approve it and make it stipulated according to the codes?
that's one way of doing it. Mr. Panico, you were trying to
Always.
speak up. What were you gonna say, Mr. Panico?
All I was saying is if it appears that the commission is ready to move forward with it, the only question in mind is whether or not there's a deficiency without the elevator. So why don't you just go ahead and take your action, put it into a condition that we get confirmation from the building official that the elevator is not necessary.
Based on this building
Based on
code.
his
that we just read.
interpretation of the building code.
Yep,
And
okay,
if he's not comfortable with giving it one way or the other, let him call the state building official and get an answer.
okay,
I don't think we should be doing that. I think
no, okay.
Right.
No, that's a good, very good
Good
suggestion.
point.
he's the one that's responsible for the administration of the code.
Absolutely, you're right.
Plus,
Um,
plus the applicant is a licensed engineer, so he would bring the drawings up for review anyhow.
He kept saying that it was a converted building.
Right.
That's his reasoning for not having to have elevators, was that it's a converted building.
Mhm.
He
Well, it
stated
was-
that multiple times.
Yeah, I know, but it was passed without elevators. So what was the point then?
Because it was supposed to be office.
It wasn't residential.
Yeah, but still, I mean, handicap is handicap, period. It's not a handicap for offices and handicap for residential. It's handicap.
It doesn't meet the trigger level for handicap requirement. He doesn't have enough units that mandates that at least one unit has to be handicapped. That only kicks in, I think, at 10 or 11 or 12 units, somewhere up there.
No, I'm talking about the elevator as far as handicap for the elevator. And,
I
But if you
understand-
don't have to have handicap apartments, you don't have to have an elevator, I think.
that is correct.
Does not have to assure handicap access to the second floor.
Right.
No.
All right, well, we're back to square one. So is this?
I think what Commissioner Lesko said is probably more appropriate.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the condition that the building code is met, whether for the issue of a elevator.
Okay,
And I would second that motion.
okay, before we go anywhere, because I didn't know that Commissioner Radomski was going to be in attendance and then not be part of this participation, I have to verify just all those dates that I mentioned that when we had discussions and everything, we opened the public hearing, that Commissioner Laskos was present, because I am required to ask him if he wasn't present on a certain 1 or 2 meetings that he did, he is familiar with this. So can we just recess for a couple minutes for me to do that? And then I will give you a better indication of how we can proceed. Okay, so we're going to be in recess at 7:23, and I'll be right back to you. Peculiar. Okay. All right, what do we got here? July 21st. Okay, everyone on the commission, it is now 7:25 and I'm calling the meeting back to order. I checked for the meetings on July 21st, August 17th, and September 29th, and Commissioner Laskos did sit in for Commissioner Radomski for all 3 meetings, so we are clear to proceed with Commissioner Laskos participating in the action that we take for this particular application number 2110. So Commissioner Laskos, you want to proceed with the motion that you had started to talk about?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the condition that if a elevator is needed for building code, it would be addressed.
is that the extent of what you feel needs to be addressed?
Yes.
Is whether or not, okay. With the condition that if an elevator is needed, it is addressed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there someone that wants to second that particular motion?
I'll second it.
All right, so there's a motion from Commissioner Lasko, seconded by Commissioner Kelly for approval for application 2110 with the condition that if an elevator is required, that condition be addressed. Okay, so on the motion, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye, but I'd like to comment, if you don't mind. I appreciate what Commissioner Parkins is saying about the parking and this perennial problem that we have downtown, but I think without elevator in this building, that its chances of becoming a office building are pretty slim, at least in the near term. And I think it's reasonable to have it be occupied. And I think the apartments would sell, as happened when we visited the loft, that they were selling them before people moved out. So I think there'd be a demand for apartments in that location.
Mhm.
So
Okay. All right, so there's an aye from Commissioner Kelly, aye from Commissioner Amato. Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
okay, Commissioner Tiki,
No.
okay, and Commissioner Parkins. You're on
Sorry, I
mute.
had to come off, I had to come off mute. And again, similar to Commissioner Motto, I appreciate the comments. I am just a real proponent of mixed use downtown, and so I'm going to vote no.
Okay, and the chair votes nay as well. So on this particular vote, is there somebody saying something?
I think it's feedback. from-
Okay, on this particular vote, there are 3 ayes, 3 nays. There is not a majority that was achieved, so the motion is denied. Mr. Rossetti, could you remind the commission as to what the applicant has as a recourse? Can he go to the zoning board of appeals?
Or what?
yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Well,
If
I
you
thought
guys
it
approve the
had comment.
application,
I'm sorry, say it again.
if the commission approves the application, why does it need to go to zoning board of appeals?
We didn't.
We
We
did not
didn't.
approve it. It was a 3-3 vote.
Oh, so it's now split.
Right, it's,
Got it.
yeah. So that's what I just
miscounted.
asked, is as a reminder to the commission,
Correct.
the recourse that the applicant has is to go to the zoning board of appeal.
That's correct.
Okay. All right,
This was a proposal to modify a special exception approval.
Yes.
yes.
We just need to be careful about what our reasoning is as to why no, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, everything the commission approves has to go, whether it's a small building, a big building, a little office, or a big office, everything is ultimately approved by our building officials. If it doesn't meet code, it doesn't meet code. If it's not sprinklered when it needs to be sprinklered, the fire marshal will shut it down.
Mhm.
That's not, I'll just leave that there. But
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to comment, but may not necessarily be office space that's suitable up there, but what if a dance studio or a theater group or somebody, a coffee house wanted to go up there? Doesn't necessarily have to be commercial in the sense of offices, but there are other areas that some other occupant may be the perfect fit for it. So, but we need to move on to our next agenda item since our vote has been taken. Next agenda item is new business, application 20-23, PDD number 85. Spotted Horse, Mark Murphy at 100 Commerce Drive for a minor modification of a PDD for a 4-season outside dining. We first need to have a motion to accept for review. Is there a motion to accept application 20-23 for review?
I'll make a motion to accept it for review.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Motto. Is there a second?
Commissioner Ticky will second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. So.
Chair, just to clarify, is Commissioner Wadowski seated
thank
again?
Thank you very much. Okay. Commissioner Wardowski, are you present?
Yes.
Okay, so you're back as a voting member of this particular portion of the agenda from this point on. All right, so there's a motion to accept application 2123 from Commissioner Mono, seconded by Commissioner Ticky. And so the motion to accept, Commissioner Parkins? Ruth?
Sorry. Oh, that's what happens when we spend an hour on signs, right?
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay, you're voting aye to accept for review. Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Wadomski,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So motion to accept for review is passed 6-0. Now, is the applicant present? Mr. Rossetti, is there anybody here?
Mark, if that's you at 387-831, could you please raise your hand? Okay, I'm guessing that's him.
Okay, if there's someone here from
There he is.
for
Yep, that's Mark. Hang on one second. Let me just.
okay. Okay, I'm sure you can hear me. I just wanted to remind anyone that is going to speak regarding application 2123 to identify yourself for the record. Okay, we see you on the screen, but you're muted.
Nope, he's not anymore.
Okay,
He shouldn't be.
can't hear you.
It's muted.
Yeah, now he's muted for sure. Mike is, it's got the slash through it. Do you have a volume on your speaker or anything?
You could always call in and see us on video, but call in.
Oh, that's a good suggestion, Commissioner Ticky.
Strange.
If the representative for the Spotted Horse has a cell phone, you could call in. Yeah, okay.
We see him, but can't hear him.
Yeah, there's the phone number to call. And then you can join the use the cell phone for the audio portion and still be able to see us on the screen.
All right, well, Mark, if you can, just call into the number that's on the agenda, it's on the screen. If not,
Move on to the next agenda item and come back.
I mean, I can briefly kind of walk the commission through just so you guys get a sense of what's going on.
Okay, then why don't you go ahead, go through the application.
As the commission is likely familiar, the Spotted Horse Tavern is on Commerce Drive. It is owned by the RD Cinto Group, part of CX Plaza. There is a outdoor seating area patio at this side of the building. The applicant came in over a year ago under COVID guidelines to have, oops, am I sharing the wrong screen? Can you guys see this?
No, we only see the agenda up, Alice.
I'm
You're sharing the
sorry.
wrong screen.
Sorry. Let me swap screens there. Okay, so share screen. Okay, there you go. So the applicant came in under COVID guidelines to
Have the outdoor patio?
have this outdoor patio covered, and also to, kind of allow for safe social distancing and allowing the business to continue.
Mhm.
We advise them that, this is a temporary fix for now, but we could definitely authorize it. And if he'd like to keep the structure up, he'd have to come back before the commission. It appears that this, kind of covering has been a great success for them, and they would like to keep it up all year round to be a permanent fixture.
Mhm.
So that's why the applicant is back before the commission as a minor modification of a PDD. CX Plaza is a PDD, and so what they're looking at is keeping up, as you may have already noticed, there's a blue canvas kind of covering this area, which they would like to keep up. And the applicant has submitted some photos, which are online here. That one's rotated. So this is off the side of the building. And that's what it looks like.
Mhm.
And it's, you can see it's pretty well screened from, this is from looking at Starbucks in the parking lot. And that's the extent of, at which, that's all right in this area.
Mhm. Exactly. So it butts up against, as shown in the first picture, it butts up against the bar that's in the center.
Correct.
Yep, okay. All right, does any commissioners have any questions about this? This structure looks to be very well constructed. It's,
Yeah, I sure do.
yeah, go ahead.
It's quite big, so I believe it's going to have to go to the building department with structural details, so on and so forth. I mean, you're going to have snow loads. You're going to have a lot of things on this type of a canvas covering.
Mhm.
The other thing, if it's 4 seasons, yeah, it doesn't seem like it would remain structurally as it is and be 4 seasons and be heated and be, something you could use in the winter. So if they're going to make it more of a building, isn't that just an expansion of the size of the restaurant? And does that affect the parking requirements?
Good question.
On the picture, that shows the underside of the awning, on the left side, are those glass panels, or is that open? That's just the support. Yeah, right, that picture on the left.
Again, I
I think
don't want to put words in the applicant's mouth, but that is open.
Mhm.
Just like with New Haven or New York City, I'm sure they could install some vinyl coverings and heat lamps, just as every other outdoor space does. As to the question of parking, I guess someone could argue that this outdoor patio area was part of this initial approval, part of the PDD, and has been part of the restaurant use. So while yes, it may be transitioning from a 3-season use to a 4-season use, wintertime demands will likely be less than summertime, but
Mr. Rossetti, when was this originally erected? How far in the past did we give the approval to have it put up?
2020, wasn't it? 2020.
Correct.
So it went through a winter season already.
Not the magnitude of this canvas.
I would have to ask the applicant. I'm not sure if we would ask them to roll it up or if it stayed down.
Okay. Can you check to see if the applicant is able to converse with us? Yeah,
Give me 1 second to go back to the participants screen.
sure.
Attendees. Okay, hang on 1 second. Let's see.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hey,
Mark.
Matthew. Good.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
All right, identify yourself for the record.
My name is Mark Murphy.
Okay, Mr.
I'm
Murphy.
one of,
Mark, really quick, do you mind, let me just think.
Your computer.
Yeah, muting, if you could mute your computer, then that way we don't pick up on the audio from your phone.
okay, I think I've
There we
done it.
go. Much better. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, sorry, guys.
All right, so why don't you present your application here? What'd you like to do?
Okay, I think there might be some confusion. I'm not looking to seat anyone under that awning after November 1st.
Ah,
I'm just looking to keep the canvas up year round instead of having to take it down and put it back up and take it down. We have no intentions of seating anyone there after November 1st.
Okay, so no outdoor use after November 1st.
No, that was the agreement that we made to have it put up.
Okay, and that, does that also apply to the area behind the bar, outdoor bar?
November 1st, the patio closes
Closes, okay. All right,
Till when?
until May 1st, I believe.
mm-hmm,
May 1st, November 1st.
all right. All right, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Murphy?
all right. So you're saying the only difference is you're leaving the structure up year round.
That's all I'm asking for.
Okay,
We can take it down and have it cleaned up if we'd like, but we'd like to be able to keep it up. Just to use it to put tables under it, storage, just to, not to have it get damaged, taking it down and putting it up.
mm-hmm. Okay,
Um,
Commissioner Kelly had some concerns about the snow load. So do you have any information that you could present to us from manufacturer?
Well, when I applied for it originally, from Dan from New Haven Awning, he has it withstanding 30 pounds per square foot for the snow load, and it's 135 miles per hour for wind.
Oh, okay.
I can't see that being taken down. I don't know if you can read that. I apologize.
Yeah,
No, that's oh, hold it still.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit better, but Commissioner Kelly, does that seem reasonable to you, 30 pounds? For the snow?
Yeah, it's reasonable. I mean, but you know, I'm not a building official, so it would
Yeah.
have to be towards what he has to say about it.
Okay,
I believe I have a letter from the building department on your records with the fire department, the fire
Right.
marshal.
One thing, this is an existing canvas. It's not a new canvas. Am I correct?
Yes,
All right,
This
from
is a
from
new
what was
canvas.
indicated before, it was from the building out, but this is just for the bar area.
no, this is from the front gate to the bar area, the
Okay,
tiki bar area.
all right,
it's on the side of the building.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I can understand not taking it down and no one being there. I mean, you know, that's should not be a problem.
Mhm. Okay, any other commissioner have any questions, comments or concerns for the applicant?
No, that was clarifying. I think I don't have any
I apologize.
problem with it.
Okay,
I apologize to everyone for not getting this correct with the Zoom. I'm not used to it.
that's okay.
Understandable.
Stay that way.
After this meeting, I will.
We share your pain a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah.
I've noticed that.
All right, so how does the commission want to proceed on this? If there's no further questions?
I would approve it.
Are you making a motion to approve, Commissioner Mata?
Sure, I'll make a motion. to
I'll
approve.
second that.
Okay, there's a motion to approve from Commissioner Motto. There's a second from Commissioner Kelly. So on the
We
motion,
just, can we just make sure that the motion includes the details on this? That it is not to be used, that it's the temporary, we're approving the temporary,
the change from being a temporary installation to a permanent one, and the patio would not be used from November 1st to approximately May 1st.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, does that help, Commissioner Parkins?
is it becoming a permanent, is that what you're saying? It's going to become a permanent structure versus a temporary? The roof?
Can't hear you. Mr. Murphy. You're on
Sounds like
mute.
the structure isn't changing from what I understand.
That is correct.
Yeah,
But does our regulations view a temporary structure differently from a permanent structure in terms of load factors and that sort of thing, as Commissioner Kelly brought up? That's the question.
The loads and the safety of, it's really determined by the fire marshal and the building official.
Correct.
Right.
all right, so should we add a contingent on the approval from the fire marshal and the building official?
Yes, I would do that, please.
That's fine.
Okay, Commissioner Motto, you're the person that made the motion. Is that?
Yeah, I think those are all that's a very good point, and I
Okay,
agree with that. Yes.
This is Commissioner Wodomski before you make the motion.
yes, go ahead, Commissioner. Radomski.
This is going to become this is going from a temporary for COVID to a permanent even after COVID.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. While it might have been erected during that.
Well, we approved the patio as part, didn't you approve the patio as part of the approval of the site plan?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the cover that was approved as a result of COVID, I believe, right?
yeah, to be able to expand the seating of and to have it within the
Right.
the regulations for social distancing. Yeah. So.
But if those regulations go away and we go back to normal, that structure is still going to stay as a permanent structure.
Yes, we're not tying in any contingencies that if regulations should change and there aren't any more regulations from the state that you have to have social distancing or whatever, then we're not including that in this. And
I think the only change with COVID is that we were able to expedite these on a staff level but the requirements, the structural requirements weren't.
no, they weren't waived. They weren't lessened.
No.
Yeah.
So you could do this anytime,
Mhm.
but it's just the process, I think, was made easier.
Yeah, but again, I think most of them were approved as temporary, right? So temporary outdoor seating.
Yeah,
So
but most
my
of
question
them-
is just if it's going to be now permanent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but most of them were approved as even if within the parking lot too.
So they were. Yeah.
I think we had a resolution on that at one time. I think at that time, Ken Nappy was part of staff and we drew up something like that.
Oh, Mr. Panico wrote it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yep, that's for sure. All right. So is everybody interested in the motion to approve that was made by Commissioner Motto, second by Commissioner Kelly, is that we're looking for an approval, but with the contingency that the building official and the fire marshal approves it, the safety factors of it. And it would also, the outdoor patio, as Mr. Murphy explained, would not be used after November 1st until approximately May 1st.
I'm still got a question, Jenny. I'm sorry. So all these places that we approved
Mhm.
during COVID as temporary structures to accommodate the restaurants for COVID, all have the potential at this point. All these applicants, all these people have the opportunity to come back and say, well, I want to make it a permanent structure now. Are we going to open up a Pandora's box
I
of
think they could have
places?
done it at any time. Now, I don't see it as opening up Pandora's box. And there could have been one coming in, there could have been 5 coming in,
The
Just-
structure is just the roof. The patio was already approved.
approved, exactly.
Right.
The structure is just the roof.
That's all we're being asked about. I don't think it It has anything?
I think we're getting confused here because a lot of the temporary structure patios, whatever you want to call them, were approved because they weren't part of the building. They were part of a parking lot. They were part of car spaces. This was
Sidewalk.
not. This was part of the original
No plan, yeah. The
plan
original layout.
as far as a patio. The only thing that we approved is the structure. The initial patio was there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
think that's-
if COVID or not COVID, if we could approve the structure,
Definitely.
you
Yeah,
know, I mean, I think that's where we're getting kind of confused about this.
bogged down.
That's why you're processing as a modification to your PDD.
Mhm.
Correct.
A minor
Exactly.
modification, but a modification.
Right, Tony.
Yep. Now, thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Panico. All right, so unless there's any more discussion, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly, Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Wadowski.
I'm going to abstain.
Any special reason?
I don't have to give one.
Okay, that's fine. Commissioner Harger votes aye. So the motion to approve application 2123 is passed by a vote of 5-0-1. Okay, second agenda item. Thank you, Mr. Murphy, and have a good night and continued success at Spotted Horse. I can't hear you. Sorry.
He's on, Mark, your phone is on mute. It's your phone, Mark.
Oh, the struggles are real.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. It's making me feel pretty sharp.
Oh,
Oh, goodness.
All right. Well, Mark, we'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay. Staff will be in touch with you and then he can relay anything to us. Good night. Ciao. That's the line of work you're in. Ciao. Okay, next item on the agenda, second new business item is application 20-21, PDD number 100, 6 Todd Place, Willinger and Boosie for final detailed development plan approval for 10,170 square foot retail development. We need a motion to accept for review.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's a motion to accept application 20-21 for review from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
I'll second Commissioner Parkins.
Thank you, Commissioner Parkins. So on the motion to accept application 20-21 from Commissioner Kelly and seconded by Commissioner Parkins, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Wadowski.
I don't believe I was part of any of this discussion.
Well, this is from 20, let's see.
I believe you were, Commissioner.
Yeah, from,
Yes.
it's got to be from 2020.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I think you were, yes, I think you were.
yeah, because we talked about the sidewalks.
That's exactly right.
Irrespective, this is a new application.
Yeah, so it doesn't predicate itself on.
Okay.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
so your vote on this to accept?
Aye. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So the motion to accept has been approved 6-0. Is the applicant present? Okay, I see somebody from the law firm, but you're on mute. There you go.
Hi, it's Attorney Diane Lord at Wilmington PZC for the applicant. Yes, we were here before to receive our initial approval, and now we're here for the final approval. At the time we received the initial approval, the commission had a few suggestions, and we have incorporated every one of these suggestions. There's basically four major ones. You wanted the rear elevation of the building to be brick face, the same as the sides and front, and it is. You also requested, on the new plans, obviously, you also requested a dumpster enclosure. Again, that is on the revised plans. We have agreed to the sidewalks once the city installs anything to be connected to, we certainly will agree to that. And you also requested some sign details, although we're not submitting a sign application per se, but there are sign details in the architectural plans. I believe Joe Pereira from Pereira Engineering is here, as well as Marcos Reinheimer, the architect, if you have any questions of either one of them.
Okay, before we speak to Mr. Pereira or the applicant, Mr. Panico, is there anything that you wanted to point out on the changes that we had requested?
No, there's just 2 or 3 minor issues that need to be taken care of, but in general, they've responded to all of the concerns and conditions that were imposed on the original approval.
Mhm.
There was some confusion about signage. The engineering plans show a little sign over by the entrance from Platte Road. The architectural plans detail out a major sign at the actual intersection that doesn't show on the engineering plan. So we just need to get that resolved.
Okay,
The applicant did agree to put a sidewalk on Todd Road at such time as area sidewalks are built, which is fine. I just want that note clarified that it's to be at no expense to the city. And secondly, the applicant should be aware of a possible conflict with the retaining wall and that future sidewalk, depending upon whatever grade that sidewalk is going to be built at. So I want to make sure that the retaining wall footings are deep enough to not be affected by the installation of a future sidewalk.
okay.
Uh,
That's all, that can all be worked out at the staff level?
This is very easy
Yeah,
to work.
yeah. Okay.
And the third item, let's see.
The dumpster enclosure was,
Oh, just on the, that's all been addressed. That's been taken care of. The back wall of the building, we asked that it be made more attractive, so they did it all in brick instead of block, which is fine. The landscaping plan normally has a note on it that allows the commission to require additional plantings if they deem necessary after they see the plantings in place. So that's just a note on the drawing. Let's see. I think that's basically it.
okay, I see 2 newcomers to our Zoom from the applicant, Mr. Reinheimer and Mr. Pereira. Do either of you gentlemen have any comments for the commission? Mr.
I don't.
Pereira? Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
at this time.
No, no comments?
No comments.
Okay. And Mr. Reinheimer, any comments from you?
No, we have no comments on the architectural plans.
Okay, thank you. Does any of the commissioners have any comments, questions, or concerns for the attorney? Any questions for Mr. Panico?
You just refresh my memory because I'm was a minute ago, but so there's one, and I remember a lot of discussion about this. So Mr. Panico, is there one drive-through in the back for one retail?
There's a driveway access from Platte Road.
Mr. Rossetti could put up the plans.
Thank you,
There
and
is
I have them up to my own.
There is also a connection by a driveway out to Todd Street. So that's 2 ways of getting in and out of the site. In the event one driveway is blocked up with traffic, you have another point of release. There's a circulation pattern around the entire building.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a drive-through for a restaurant or an eatery?
No, that specifically was indicated.
Okay, I recall conversations about that, so I just want to make sure that was taken out. Okay, and I do have the plans up and I see the circulation about, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, it sounds like they're complying with the initial approval and resolution that we had all agreed to.
Yes, they did.
Yes. All right, so how would the commission like to proceed on this particular application?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, there's an application to approve application 20-21 from Commissioner Motto. Is there a second?
I presume that will be subject to addressing those remaining 3 issues.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We should prove it as noted,
Yeah.
Okay.
and I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Panico, those conditions escape me right now. So,
The footings, let's see, the sidewalk,
yep.
It was the sidewalk, the
The
resolution of the
landscaping.
signage conflicts,
Okay.
And the footings for the front with the sidewalk.
clarification of the
Wall
note
footing.
providing that sidewalk at no cost to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And
possible improvements to the landscaping.
and a note on the landscaping plan in the event the commission wants some additional plantings.
Okay.
That's
So,
about it.
I have 1, 2, 3, 5 of them now. So,
Well, sometimes they're related.
yeah, motion to approve application 20-21 made by Commissioner Motto, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. And the motion to approve would be including requirements on the signage to be clarified by staff, as there were two separate and distinct different signs that were proposed, to have the correct wall footings installed that would not impede the installation of a sidewalk. The work for the sidewalk would be done at no cost to the city. The landscaping plan would allow additional landscaping if required and requested by the commission. So I have 4 really. Is that about it?
There's some, there was a minor nuts and bolts stuff.
Yeah.
When we get final plans like this, we always, as a convenience, run them by the city engineer and the fire marshal, make sure that nothing's been altered that would affect their decisions.
Mhm.
And finally, there's some bonding that's going to have to be put in place because there's some work along the edge of the roads in on both roads.
Mhm.
Those are
Okay.
little technical things.
So there actually is a 5th one. The sidewalk was to be installed. What was the phrasing that you used, Mr. Panico, at the time that it was appropriate to do so?
Well, I just want some assurance that the applicant is aware that there's going to be a sidewalk. We don't know what the grade of that sidewalk is going to be unless the applicant wants to prepare a sidewalk grade.
Uh-huh.
If they want to do that, then they'll know exactly where the sidewalk would go. Otherwise, they need to assure us that the wall will be secure under any sidewalk condition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, any other discussion?
That's the sidewalk that's on, that's the sidewalk that's on
Sidewalk that
Todd
parallels Todd Road.
Road, right? Not the other one is a definite.
The other one is fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, any other comments, questions before we do a vote? So on the motion to approve made by Commissioner Motto, seconded by Commissioner Kelly, on application 20-21, including it's contingent on additional landscaping if needed. The sidewalk would be installed at the appropriate time on Todd Road, and the sidewalk installation would be at no cost to the city. Signage would be clarified and determined at staff level, and also the footings would be done appropriately for the fall so as to not interfere with the installation of a sidewalk. I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Wodomski.
No,
It's an A, okay, and Commissioner Harger votes aye. So the motion to approve has passed by a vote of 5-1. All right, third item on the agenda is application 19-01. And that application reads PDD number 95, Brookview Heights, Dominic Thomas, for final detailed development plan approval of a 4-lot residential development. I need a motion to accept for review.
I'll make the motion.
A motion to accept for review from Commissioner Amato. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Commissioner Kelly. So on the motion to accept application 1901 made by Commissioner, to accept for review, made by Commissioner Amato, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. Do a roll call. Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Perkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski. Commissioner Radomski, you're on mute.
Aye.
Okay, and the chair votes aye. So the motion to accept for review is passed 6-0. Is the applicant present?
Yes, Madam Chairman, Attorney Dominic Thomas representing the applicant. This application is really the final site development plans were approved at the same time of the initial PDD in September of 2019. The unusual nature of this case is this is the one that involved the fact that the applicant had to go to deep because after the numerous test pits that were dug on the site at 405 Long Hill Avenue, there was a firewall that was discovered, a tire wall, I'm sorry, not firewall, a tire wall that was discovered. And so at that point in September, we began the process of going too deep on the matter. It was an interesting trip up there. There was all the documents were done. And by the way, I did find out when we were up there that tires were the popular choice in the 40s and 50s and even into the 60s for retaining walls. And after looking at it, they were pretty confident that it really wasn't the owner of my client's property that probably did that in the 50s, but the owner of the adjacent property, which was common to do that to level out their backyards. And she said that there are probably thousands of these, but the process is complicated in order to remove it. It required an engineer certification. It required inspections. I believe Mr. Nappy, Mr. Cook attended the the removal, and it could only go to specific entities. So after that was completed, and as you remember, this was a controversial PDD that was finally approved for just 4 houses in the back. Well, right after it was completed and we were going through the paperwork, COVID hit. And everything with respect to this slowed down. And finally, sometime about a year ago, I realized that the final site development plans had a substantial number of changes that were required by Mr. Panico, including landscaping issues, addition to parking and everything. And I began the process. We had a little issue, I think due to COVID and the work that was being done by the engineer, finally getting a revised set of plans to Mr. Panico and Alex. And eventually we were finally able to have an initial meeting in which a series of comments after a call came out with the engineer, Mr. D'Amico. He made some changes. It went into the summer months, and really it was up in the air as to whether or not the COVID emergency orders under executive order, I believe it was 7I, suspended any timeframes. But it was determined that it would be best, regardless of that, to bring it back to the commission with all the items corrected. We then sent it back for another set of plans, came in, and just recently I received a lengthy email from Mr. Rossetti with a series of changes, further clarifications and changes that were required. And those set of plans came in, I think last Thursday or Friday. So I realized that Mr. Panico may not have had the opportunity to review them. But that's the purpose of it, to bring it all up in line with what was in the approval from September of 2019. And then upon that then getting a vote from the commission, having reviewed by the commission, then we would be able to file the record subdivision map. So I understand that, I don't even know if Panico has been able to even look at it. I do want to just mention to you, since you've been talking about what's going to happen at next week, I was on for 2 public hearings, so you're wondering whether you have room for signs or anything else. I just want to let you know that one of the public hearings was already moved because wetlands was moved. The other public hearing, I'm about to consult with Alex this week and let him know that the other public hearing may be continued also. These are 2 public hearings that were continued to this that are both mine. So I want you to know you're going to have a little space next Wednesday, okay? And give you advance notice that second one, the 710 Bridgeport Avenue one, because of difficulty communicating with the tenant, we're probably going to push that off too. So that's the explanation of it. I don't even know if Mr. Panico has had a chance to look at the revised plans.
I got some revised plans at 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah.
I did take a quick look at him to see if he had picked up on all of my comments, and I can only tell you that he looks like he got half of them.
Okay.
So
then I would request that this matter that's now before the commission be tabled until we can have a further meeting and correct them.
Okay. All right, so at the request of the applicant for tabling this particular discussion, is there a motion to table?
I'll move.
And that was Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, so motion to table application 1901. Is there a second?
Commissioner Ticky will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Ticky. So motion to table from Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Ticky. Do roll call. Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Motto?
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Radomski?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion table is passed 6-0. Thank you, Attorney Thomas.
Thank you very much.
All right, next agenda item is the public portion. Ms. Rossetti, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
Nope.
Okay, I'll ask again. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak? And
There's no one else on the list, so I think we're
okay.
good.
All right, so we will move along to other business. And the first item is item A, bond release for a 15,000 maintenance bond for Sylvester's Way, a private road for application number 1504, PDD number 80, Perry Hill Estates. Mr. Rossetti, what can you tell us?
This was a project done by Ben Perry. I'm sure most of you, I'll pull it up really quickly. Over here off of Perry Hill Road. The fact that you can even see it on Google, I think will lead you to believe that the road is done. It's been done for quite a while. Staff is satisfied with the condition of the road and the conditions. And we've conferred with the city engineer, and we don't have any concerns as to why we would need to retain the bond.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Rossetti from staff? I mean, from the commission? Okay. If not, is there a motion to approve release of the $15,000 maintenance bond for Sylvester's Way?
Commissioner Parkins will make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Parkins. Is there a second?
Commissioner Ticky will second.
Thank you. So on the motion to approve the release of the 15,000 maintenance bond for Sylvester's Way made by Commissioner Parkins, seconded by Commissioner Ticky. I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Motto?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Wodomski?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion to release the bond is approved by a vote of 6-0. Next on the agenda are comments from the chair and subcommittee chair. I'd like to share with you some of the information that was presented this morning at the SEDC meeting. Star Pin Canal Street is very much ready after remediation. It's tie and bond. The next steps are for tie and bond to finalize phase 2 and 3 and prepare a remedial action plan and opinion of probable cost, and that's to be done by October 30th. Site remediation will be dependent upon development plans for the site. There's a meeting scheduled for the week of October 18th. There were areas of concern when the testing of the soils and everything was done. There were 17 soil borings. There were 3 groundwater monitoring wells put in, 9 test pits, collection of 10 surface soil samples, 8 concrete samples, and a sediment sample. And while they saw metals there, some apparently are related to fill, and other metals appear to be related to the treatment and discharge of plating wastewaters. There were no PCBs detected. Apparently there is nothing that would be a concern that could not be remediated as other sites on the street. Star Pin tie and bond has completed phase 1, which is an environmental site plan assessment, and the draft of phases 2 and 3 was received on September 2021. So the remedial action report will be coming in the month of November, and they hope SEDC plans to put out a remediation bid in the winter of 2021. So we're talking about December or January. Another thing that Mr. Grimmer reported on this morning was that there are some environmental land use restrictions that are being looked into for Veterans Memorial Park and Shelton Farm and public market area. And some of it is involves the participation of Corporation Council. There has to be a title search completed. There's a survey that has to be done. There's some easements and other interests that exist. They have to be clarified. So that is being worked on. Ascon Hassler is pretty much that last brick building on Canal Street. And there was a phase 1 study for that has been completed. The sampling plan has been approved, and they'll move. Groundwater drilling is expected next week. There's a remedial action plan for 113, 123 Canal Street. In the month of October, there's supposed to be a field investigation. In November, a data analysis, and in December, a preparation of a report. Then moving on to 113 Canal Street West, which is apparently the chromium process piece. There was an elevation put up, and it was apparently something that Mr. Getz had supplied to Mr. Grimmer last month, and he indicated it could be shared. So it was shown at the SEDC meeting, and I was questioned as to what Planning and Zoning was doing about this. I said that this has not been submitted to Planning and Zoning yet. Then the most exciting part is Shelton Canal restoration and development. There was a meeting. First of all, an ad hoc committee of the SEDC was formed over the summer, and it was Mr. Parthington, Mr. Coughlin, Mr. McCreary, and Mr. Geisler who sat on that ad hoc committee. A request for qualifications was put out during the July 21st and August 11th deadline. Qualifications were reviewed on August 31st. There were engineering interviews on September 15th, and next Wednesday, the 20th, is when the ad hoc committee is to meet and select the engineering company for that particular project. They estimate the cost for their recommendations and vision submissions to be between 80 and 120,000. And the US EPA would be the potential source of funding to cover those costs. Mr. Grimmer indicated that the, I believe it was 5 applicants that came in. They pretty much all, 4 out of the 5 were highly qualified for this particular project. So they had indicated too that doing this project would be a once in a lifetime activity for them. Next, the Shelton Economic Development Corporation is going to be the lead agency responsible for carrying out grant objectives and financial management of the Naugatuck Valley Economic Development Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. It's comprised of 19 towns, and Valley Council of Government will provide additional support and resources. DeCarlo and Dahl will be the consultant. A 5-year SEDS report was completed and submitted at the end of June, and a grant awarded by the US EPA. Next, that mention of Mr. Grimmer was that Merrill already requested the SEDC to become the Small Cities Grant Administrator. These are for grants to benefit low and moderate income populations for housing rehab projects among the general population, and also the senior citizen housing, Helen DeVoe and Cinzabah Heights. And next was, he presented photos of the building projects that we are all familiar with downtown. First one being Mr. Malisi's project Bridge Street Commons 2. 72 rental units were fully leased in 6 weeks. And the commercial tenant Chaplin is a steakhouse that is, if you've driven by, you can see that there's work being done just about daily on completing the interior of the first floor for that. The next building was 502 Howe Avenue, where Webster Bank used to be. Out of the 56 units, 54 were leased in 4 weeks. Commercial tenants will be Webster Bank and Common Grounds Coffee Shop, which is going to expand from its Bridgeport Avenue location. And the other space on the first floor is to be the leasing office, and right now they're identifying it as a fitness center. The next one is Cedar Village 2, Mr. Stanzel's at 275 Corm Avenue, 30 units, approximately 75% of them have been leased, which is about 2022. Occupancy is expected within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and a staff will arrange a walkthrough as soon as they get clearance that we can do a tour. And I'm looking forward to seeing the interior of that particular building. And Mr. Stanzel has finished the renovation of the 6-family apartment building that is 3 doors down. And I had the opportunity to see it myself, and he's done a very nice job. And Commissioner Kelly was with me that day as well. So last one that Mr. Grimmer pointed out was Riverside Commercial. The Pier 131 restaurant had a soft opening last Wednesday, and they're in the process of acquiring staff and training staff. Because my husband and I were going through the area yesterday, we parked and walked in, and I introduced myself to Artan, and I won't attempt to pronounce his last name, but he's the Artan that Artan's restaurant across from Video 7 is named for. It's his family's business. If you had not seen the article that was written about him that appeared, Shelton Herald, Connecticut Post online, he had operated a restaurant up in the Danbury area, and from what I recall, was not going to be able to expand up there. So he decided to, when he saw this particular building, felt it was a perfect spot for him. And they have done a beautiful interior. So that's, I think, going to be a very, very popular place for dining. The optometrist's office next door is being finished. We happen to see a gentleman putting up the tile on the receptionist counter, the front of it. And it's very, I think, I would categorize it as high end. The occupancy for that will be next month. And there was an article about that particular optometrist moving to that facility in the Connecticut Post, Shelton Herald just yesterday. So this is the optometrist who had bought a practice that was further down on Corm Avenue. And he was very excited to not only move to a facility such as this, a location, but he's now going to be able to expand his operations and have more examining room, and feel that he will be able to service a lot many more clients. And then the last thing that Mr. Grimmer mentioned and showed us a picture of was the River Breeze Apartments at 223 Canal Street. That is another project from Mr. Getz, and 68 apartment units, and the occupancy time frame is expected to be March of 2022. And then before I turn it over to the chairs, there has been plenty of discussion and talk about, is the commission going to ever go back to any kind of in-person meetings? And I personally feel that that is a matter that should be taken up after the November 2nd election, when the new commission will be determined. We only have 2 meetings left after this, and I would hate to pigeonhole a decision right now to that would affect a commission that may not be comprised of different people. So I'd like to have staff look into what kind of, if the auditorium is available on the nights that we normally would have used it, and then we could take it from there as to, is this going to be a hybrid kind of situation as we did for a while, and decide after November 2nd. Anybody have any comments about that before I turn it over to Commissioner Kelly?
I'll just make one comment.
Sure. That's Mr. Rossetti speaking.
Yes, I personally have looked at other setups that other commissions have tried to do with hybrid setups. They don't work.
Well, we did have the one where Mr. Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Romano, myself would be in person at City Hall, and Commissioner Parkins, Commissioner Ticky, and Commissioner Radomski, Commissioner Laskos, they participated through Zoom. So that's what I'm talking about as to a hybrid kind of setup. So
I'm well aware. Does it work? I guess. Does it
what
work
kind of
well?
what is it that doesn't work?
The screen, for one.
It's the screens, it's the audio, there's lag. You're never gonna get a fluid meeting. Because there's gonna be so let's say someone wants to do a presentation, or you want to speak, you want to show something on a physical screen in the auditorium. And the people who are doing it virtually, they have to look through the camera onto the projector screen. There's always going to be, for what we have, there's always going to be a mismatch,
like a disconnect. Yeah. And Alex, Mr. Rossetti, I'm happy that you do bring out those points, because some of those things are things that we may not actually understand, or we for the 3 commissioners that have been sitting in the auditorium, we haven't experienced that sometimes. It's only if we avail ourselves of going on YouTube and watching a Board of Aldermen meeting, or an inland wetlands meeting, or some other meeting that's taking place in City Hall, that we can see what it means to be watching a meeting from YouTube and seeing how it appears. So
I would encourage anybody, if you want to see what that looks like, check out the Board of Aldermen meeting, check out the other meetings. If you like the quality of that meeting, then so be it.
Okay.
I think my voice has been well heard, but anyway, your,
Okay.
it's your commission.
Yeah,
Right.
I would
Go
also like
ahead.
to comment that COVID is not dead. And
Mhm.
I work in a hospital, as you know, and I do so at, I think, quite a bit of risk. And there's still hospitalized COVID patients, almost always unvaccinated, but there's also many patients in the hospital who are there for other reasons who are not vaccinated. And there's just a lot of not vaccinated people around. So I'm less comfortable than I was, way back at the beginning, I guess, in a way.
Mhm.
Um,
All right, so we have things
Yeah.
to consider. There's technical aspects of projecting a meeting, and then we also have some health and safety requirements as well that we need to be aware of. So I just want everybody to understand that we have not decided to not have them, but we're open to them. But that's what I think it's a responsible position to take, is to revisit it, and then the new commission, hearing all of the advantages and disadvantages, they can make a decision as to what's going to happen in the future. So does anybody else have any comments about that?
Yeah, Commissioner Wodomski.
Go ahead, Commissioner Radomski.
Yeah, I think my text, I think I may have actually spurred some discussion on this tonight. I think. I'm not sure if it was only I that questioned it, but
No.
The reason I asked was because I do attend a lot of meetings in other areas. I know the state is holding their meetings, the federal government is holding their meetings and hearings, all socially distanced, and I understand the challenges that we have, but I think with some of the facilities we do have here in the city of Shelton, I think the auditorium, as Alex said, is not exactly the most technologically advanced place, and it does need to have some serious need of infusion of money spent on technology in that area. We do have other facilities, i.e. the Shelton Intermediate School. We've conducted meetings up there. They do have a great audiovisual capability up there. I think if we were to maybe tap into that resource, we can use their AV equipment to accommodate our needs. And I think the fact that room is big enough, and unless we have a major hearing, which I just don't see at this point, where we're going to fill auditoriums like we have in the past. I think there would be enough room up there where we have the socially distancing capability both on the stage and out in the audience. And I believe there is a big screen that can come down up there also to project on the back. And we'd have to see if they're able to do like a webinar at the same time for the people who choose to stay home. I won't be a part of that, as you all probably know. I have opted not to run due to new work requirements and a new position I accepted at work. So my time is very limited to dedicate to the commission. I did enjoy the last 4 years, although the last year between COVID and my new job commitments, it wasn't too often that I was at the meetings. And I do apologize for that, but I opted not to run because it wouldn't be fair to the residents of the city of Shelton to have somebody sitting there on the commission that doesn't show up.
Okay.
So
All right.
with that said, I do hope the city of Shelton does invest in a way to improve the technology that we have, so we can do these meetings both in person and electronically.
Thank you, Commissioner Radomski. I want to point out that this has been a topic that has been occurring between staff and myself for a while. I have also had been contacted on a regular basis by a member of the Board of Aldermen who has asked, when is the commission going to be meeting again in City Hall? And that's been going on for a good 6-8 months. So it has, while we may not have discussed it at the commission level, it definitely has been discussed, and I have been questioned about it by various people, other outside commission meetings. One of the things that I found very interesting when you talk about the technology disadvantage of the auditorium in City Hall is that because of an agenda item on the zoning commission for the city of town of Stratford, I was not able to see the presentation live, but I sat and watched the 2-hour presentation of the zoning commission meeting that they had about 2-3 weeks ago. And one of the things you might find interesting is that when the applicant, the commission sits in horseshoe shape facing the camera. When the applicant gets up, he is standing to the left. There was a tripod on which he had big boards showing the commission what he was talking about, the site plans, elevations, whatever. Those were never projected to the audience. They were never turned, or a second set turned to the camera so that anyone watching over the internet could see them. When a member of the public, and there were at least for this one particular proposal, got up to speak, their backs were facing the audience and they were facing the commission, and the audio wasn't the best. So it's, we have done, I think, the best that we could. And yes, the Zoom, it does lend itself to better, but then we come across hiccups on the road, and like Mr. Murphy not being able to participate, I think, as smoothly as he would have liked before. So, every format has advantages and disadvantages. So, but I assure you, we were not at the staff level and ignoring this particular kind of situation.
We also have to consider that the public schools do not want the public in their buildings right now, because they would have to not only scheduling conflicts, but because of COVID, they don't want people in, and from a homeland security, for security reasons, they also don't want folks using their buildings. So to their
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think we've done well using the methods that we have. So not everybody's comfortable about sitting in on a Zoom meeting or having to participate in a Zoom meeting, but you know what, for the amount of time that we had to acclimate ourselves to it, I think we did, and we've done pretty well, to tell you the truth. So, okay, if there's no further comments on that, I'll move along to Commissioner Kelly, if you have any comments from the Downtown Subcommittee.
Yeah, I do. Myself and also, Commissioner Arger, we talked about having future meetings for downtown. And we also talked about restarting them after election because of maybe a different board, so on and so forth, and different people doing different things. So in saying all that, I gave staff bullet points or a list of discussions that I would like to bring up, and they will advise me when they can have a appropriate date. But also, let me point out that the commission and whatnot have always been abreast of what is going on downtown. Mr. Nappy has always reported on everything that has happened. And we also had 5 walkthroughs to various projects down there. So I understand that we haven't had a meeting, which is true, but we haven't been isolated from downtown also. And that's the only thing I have to say, but I wished Commissioner Wadowski the best.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Kelly. We always wish departing members, and I think I was going to hold off on that.
Okay.
Maybe the end. That's okay. We could thank him now for his time here on the commission. So, all right. Any questions for Commissioner Kelly before we move on to Commissioner Motto? Okay, Commissioner Motto, do you have any comments from the zoning subcommittee?
Well, just, again, about the signs, is there a way to perhaps communicate better to these people with projects that they need to get those sign applications in before the last minute, and then expect that it's going to be acted upon in a couple of days?
We
Come
tell
in here with an
we tell
attitude.
every sign applicant, get your material in as soon as possible, and do not try and submit it a week before. And 99% of the time that falls on deaf ears, but
Mm,
Try
well-
our best, and I think, in hindsight, we'll just say, okay, well, you're not on this agenda. And that's
Yeah.
the way we'll
I
do
mean,
it.
they could have, not been on tonight's agenda, it just didn't work, but no,
Mhm.
I hear you, I believe you, but a big project like that, and then to just bring the sign at the last minute and get all kind of huffy about not getting the approval, it's
Mhm.
annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Rossetti, I don't know if it's possible for some kind of just research into other towns. How do they approach it? What do they have something in their regs that gives?
Or just put a time limit, like a month, let's
Yeah.
say, tell them you got to get it in a month before you expect
Mhm.
approval.
Yeah, the
Is
reason
that
I
a
bring up
reasonable
about
time? Yeah,
doing some research is so that we can say we're no different than any other towns in the area. This is
Alright.
what the trend is, and that's, if you were to go to another town, you wouldn't be able to bring it in on a Friday and have it in on that agenda for the following week or two.
I have no problem if that's the way the commission would like to go. I know some towns do have a month minimum requirement prior submittal.
Yeah, well,
Some
one,
towns
two,
it's 2 weeks.
Yep.
Shelton historically has not been that way, so
Mhm.
it creates, a bit of a challenging adjustment, but.
Mhm.
is a
we're happy
month,
to
do you
do
think
that.
a month is the appropriate amount of time?
I think a month would be fantastic. It gives us time to review it, have a meeting, and then if you have comments, you meaning the sign or
Yeah.
zoning subcommittee,
Okay.
they can come back, get revised, and then if we needs to be checked a second time, it can.
Mhm. Yeah, you got a little
And
bit
then
more
give-
breathing room in there. So.
Yeah, well, last week was difficult too, because I was away all week on business, and then the one day I was available, I think Commissioner Motto was working. So, they have to understand that, like I pointed out, we're volunteers. We have full-time, some of us have part-time, some of us have full-time jobs or other responsibilities. So, that we can't just drop everything we're doing to meet their schedule. But I think we accommodated quite a few tonight, as best we could.
Yeah.
Yes, but it also went off our plan to keep it out of the whole meeting.
Correct. We lost an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I think we try and accommodate the public as much as possible, but sometimes you just can't, you have to say no. All right, Mr. Rossetti, do you have any comments for us?
No, we will keep on plugging. Still got a few more hearings this month.
Okay.
That's about it. I'm sure Josh or myself will be in touch with the sign folks and
Mhm.
get all that situated. But that's it.
Okay, and can I mention that our next, the first meeting in November is the 9th, and because of where the holiday falls,
Yes. good point.
definitely not going to be anything the week of the 22nd, and the chances of something even on the 17th may be slim to none. So.
I thought you'd send us all turkey on the 24th. No. Yes, so as for November, if everybody looks at their calendar, the 9th would be our regular meeting. Am I missing what's on the 17th? What's the
Yeah, when
conflict?
we had a discussion a couple months ago, I had pointed out definitely the week of the 22nd is an NG, and the 17th was definitely something that I definitely will not be here. So if there does have to be something on the 17th, it would be Commissioner Kelly at this time, or whoever the vice chair is going to be. Okay, just give me a heads up on that.
Chair Harger, I believe, refresh my memory, the new commission would be seated on the 9th.
Yeah,
correct?
on the 7th. Yeah, no, they're elected on the 2nd. They're sworn in on the 23rd,
Oh, okay.
the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, and that's in the charter.
Okay.
So to correct myself, it's if there is a meeting on the 17th, Commissioner Kelly will be running the meeting. Okay.
Okay, thank you. It's been a while. I lost that.
Yeah. Unless I check myself. Okay, Mr. O'Neill's on here. So the next item on the agenda is a notation that the September 29th minutes are on the city's website for review, and they'll be on an upcoming agenda for approval. And the last time on the agenda is approval of the September 22nd, 2021 minutes. Does anyone have any comments or changes regarding the September 22nd minutes? I have none myself.
There's one
Okay.
brief one. Mr. Panico was not able to attend the 22nd and 29th minutes.
Okay, he was recorded as being in attendance, so we will note that his name is, should be listed under excused. Okay,
Ginny, I wasn't at those meetings, so I'm going to defer to maybe Commissioner Laskos. If he was there, he can step up and vote.
yeah, we still would have a quorum number without him. So,
Okay.
okay, anybody else have any comments regarding the September 22nd meeting?
I will recuse myself. I was not present, Commissioner Parkins.
Okay, so you're abstaining from those, from the one from the 22nd?
Correct.
Okay, and so is Commissioner Radomski. All right, so Commissioner Amato, Commissioner Ticky, Commissioner Kelly, and myself, is there one of us that would like to make a motion to approve the September 22nd minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly is making the motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
Commissioner Amato is accepting. So on the motion to approve made by Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Amato for the September 22nd minutes, I'll do a roll call with Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Harger votes aye, and Commissioner Radomski and Laskos, would you please, and Parkins rather, Commissioner Radomski and Parkins, would you please indicate that you're abstaining?
I am abstaining.
Okay.
Abstaining.
Okay, so the motion to approve the September 22nd minutes has passed by a vote of 402. All right, everyone, seeing that there's no other agenda item, the chair declares the meeting adjourned as of 8:48 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.